All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third and final week of our Lenten series with the focus on "Come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest." And tonight, that is the scripture that we will focus in on. So week one, we looked at the story of Elijah and saw him in his exhaustion and the way that the angel helped to sustain him and the way that God comes to him in a whisper. Last week, we prayed with the story of the woman at the well, and we saw Jesus as the one who was exhausted, and in his exhaustion, how he takes the water that she gives and at the same time then also offers her something more. So tonight, not a story that we will be diving into, but just this section of scripture where Jesus invites us to come to him. So we'll begin a little bit differently tonight. I have a blessing that is going to help us to set the tone. The blessing begins with inviting us into the wilderness. I think that's such a powerful image for Lent, to think of what is the wilderness and the landscape of the wilderness of our heart. So let's take a moment here to just begin in prayer, and then we'll move into our movement. You can just stay seated, maybe put both feet on the ground, or if you're in an easy pose, let your hips rest heavy. And just take a moment to feel your body in space. Feel the weight of your hips on the ground. Feel the length of your spine. Sometimes the call to be a Christian, to follow Jesus, can feel like a really insurmountable mountain. We can read the stories of the lives of the saints and see the sacrifices that they made and push ourselves into believing that maybe we're not worthy of that call because we have lives to live, for heaven's sakes, jobs to do, children to raise, a to-do list to accomplish. But in the gospel story today, Jesus comes and meets us exactly where we're at, in our exhaustion and in our weariness. He recognizes who we are, sits beside us, and invites us to let him share the load with us. So our movement practice will really help us surrender to our interior lives, that we can be prepared to share that with Jesus in our meditation. So we begin with a blessing. This was shared with me from a dear friend who joins me on Sundays with her Lenten prayer that she leads up in Minnesota. And it is called a blessing. If you would enter into the wilderness, do not begin without a blessing. Do not leave without hearing who you are. Beloved, named by the one who has traveled this path before you. Do not go without letting it echo in your ears. And if you find it is hard to let it into your heart, do not despair. That is what the journey is for. I cannot promise this blessing will free you from danger or fear or hunger or thirst, or from the scorching of sun or the fall of night. But I can tell you that on this path, there will be help. I can tell you that on this way, there will be rest. I can tell you that you will know the strange graces that come to our aid only on a road such as this, that fly to meet us bearing comfort and strength, that come alongside us for no other cause than to lean themselves toward our ear, and with their curious insistence to whisper our name. Beloved, beloved, beloved. And so as we attune ourselves to our breath this evening, breathe in this name that God calls us. We are his beloved. And he desires to be in the wilderness with us, to not leave us alone. Just breathe in those words, beloved, beloved, beloved. And from there, you can maybe bring your hands to your heart. And I invite you to ask God for the grace that you desire this evening, maybe the rest of this Lent. And then with your next exhale, we'll transition onto our backs with our knees bent and our feet on the ground. So let's have our feet about underneath our knees. We're going to lift up into a dynamic bridge pose after we do a little bit more breath work here. So hands can rest down at your side, or you can place them on your stomach. Reconnect with your breath. And develop an even inhale, even exhale. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And then keeping with the even inhale and even exhale, let's take our arms down by our side if they're not already there. And this time as we inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling, push down through your feet, and arms come all the way up and over. Pause here just for a moment. And then exhale, roll your spine back down. The hips return to the ground and hands return to you. Again, inhale up. Hold. And exhale, roll it down. So taking your time here, you are in control of how much. Do this again. Articulation of your spine there is. Let's take one more. Breathe in, hips up, arms up, and exhale. This time, let's bring our knees in towards our chest. You can grab onto your knees with your hands. Take a moment here to rock side to side. Feels good. And then let's come to center and find some stillness. We'll cactus our arms out to the side and then inhale your feet up towards the ceiling. If you need to keep your knees bent. And then we'll exhale, bring your knees in towards your chest, hands to your knees. 3 more times. Inhale, cactus the arms, feet up towards the sky. And exhale, bring it into a little ball. Inhale, letter L for Lent. And exhale, come into a little ball. And last time, inhale, letter L. And exhale, come into a ball. We'll take our feet back down to the earth, knees are still bent, and we'll put those two together. So deep breath in, and on your exhale, release. And let's inhale, lift the hips, arms come up overhead. Exhale, roll the spine down. When your tailbone comes to the earth, bring your knees in towards your chest. Inhale, letter L. And exhale, back to center. I'll cue this one more time and then we'll do 2 rounds in quiet. So inhale, dynamic bridge pose. Exhale, roll your spine down, knees to chest. Inhale, mother bow. And exhale, feet and hands back. So if your rhythm gets lost, or you forget what you're supposed to be doing, just breathe and move. You can always look up on the screen. And when you finish your final round, let's take our knees together and our feet out wide to rest here. Feel your feet on your mat. Feel the connection of your tailbone. Notice where your shoulder blades rest on. Then go ahead and bring your feet back square, and we'll bring our right knee in towards our chest and extend your left leg out. As you pull your right knee in towards your chest and move it up towards your armpit on the right side. Putting some pressure on your abdomen here, ascending colon. And attentive of moving your shoulders down away from your ears so that you're not hunched up, but create some space. And then push through your left foot. Flex into it. Feel some space between both feet as well. One more breath in here. And then exhale as we put our right foot down onto the earth, either just above your knee or just below your knee. We'll come into fallen tree pose very gradually here. So with your right foot on the ground, we'll take an inhale, and then exhale, open up the right knee down towards the earth like you're in tree pose. Then inhale, the knee back up towards the ceiling. 3 more times to gently open and back up. Exhale, knee opens and back up. You can place your left hand on your left hip if that's helpful. Last time, open, and we'll stay here. You can bring a block underneath your right knee for a little bit of support if that's helpful. You can also feel free to adjust your right foot if you don't want to have it up so high. So here in fallen tree pose, just take a moment to flex your foot. We'll really engage the left leg for a moment, and then we'll relax into it. Flex into your foot. Feel your head move towards the back of your space. Feel yourself as tall as you can be. And then settle in here, bringing some relaxation, bringing your breath to open up the inner thigh along the right side. I think this pose is so beautiful to think about a fallen tree and how there is so often still life in a fallen tree, but it's just different. Think about coming up upon a fallen tree on a hiking trail and seeing that now, bugs or rodents or something has made its home in it. Perhaps some moss has started to grow or something. So even in our fallen state, there is potential for new life. I think that's a neat Lenten thing. Let's stay here for 3 more breaths. You can take your right hand down to your right thigh and gently help your right leg come back up to center. We'll squeeze the right knee in towards our chest once again. And then from here, Grab the right knee with your left hand, extend the right arm out to the side, and take a twist, allowing the right knee to cross over your body. Feel free to bend your bottom leg if that's more comfortable. And then adjust your shoulders. We want the weight of our shoulders pulling us down towards the earth. A supine twist. Gaze up at the ceiling or over to the right, allowing us to work out anything that we need to let go of a bit. Two more breaths here. And slowly release. We'll unwind, bring the right knee in towards the chest one last time. And then exhale, release the right leg all the way down. And let both legs relax for a moment. Perhaps put your hands on both hips and just feel into both sides, feeling similarities and differences. And then on your next inhale, let's bring the left knee in towards the chest. Interlace the hands around your knee, down by your shin, and pull the left knee in up towards your arm. This time we get to access our descending forward. Flex through the right foot. Once again, grow as tall as you can. One more breath in. And then slowly release. We'll place the left foot next to the right leg, either above the knee or below it. You can take your right hand to your right hip to help glue it down. And then on your next exhale, open up the left leg. If it's helpful to use your hand here as some support, that works. Exhale the leg down. Inhale. Exhale down. Inhale up. And this time we'll exhale down and hold. So for a moment, really engage the right foot, move your shoulders away from your ears, grow your spine towards the back of your space. And then settle. When we think of the wilderness, at least scripturally, we so often think of the desert and the lack of life that exists in the desert. But there is lots of life in the desert too. So fallen tree, I think, is another great way to access that. Right? To think about if you've ever encountered a saguaro cactus or the different insects of the desert. Life might look a little different than what you're used to, but it is there. And perhaps that's what God wants us to see sometimes. He wants us to be willing to see things a little differently. Two more breaths here. You can use your left hand to help bring your left knee back up towards center. And then bring the knee in towards the chest one more time. And then we'll take the right hand to the left knee, extend your left arm out to the side, and allow the right or the left knee to cross over to the right side of your body. Adjust your shoulders as needed. And take your gaze up to the ceiling or over to the left. If your shoulders can't come all the way to the ground, that's okay. You can use a block or a pillow, something to support them, or at least the energy of them moves you towards the ground. We'll take 3 more minutes. And exhale, release back onto your back. Squeeze the knee in, and then release the left leg down. While we're here, your legs are about hip distance apart. Let's take our big toes to touch, and then exhale, let your feet flop out like the pages of a book. Inhale, big toes to touch, and exhale, flop. And last time, inhale, big toes to touch, and feel into both sides of your hip. Notice if you feel even or not. We're going to move ourselves into seated. So however you'd like to do that, if bringing your knees in toward your chest and rocking up feels good, feel free to do that. Like to roll onto one side and then slowly, gently come on. Option to sit on a block or just to stay seated on the ground here. Let's take a deep breath in. And exhale it out. Inhale, both arms up above your head. And then exhale, take the right arm down, lift the left arm up and over. Bend into your right arm, move your right shoulder blade down. One more breath in. And then bring the left arm down towards your right knee. Grab on here. And transition into a gentle twist. You can move your right hand back just a bit. Now inhale your right arm up and cross it over to your left knee. So you might need to make a bit of an adjustment there with your grip. From here, round the spine and bring your chin towards your chest. As we stay here for several breaths, I want you to bring your attention to the space between your shoulder blades. And really feel your shoulders rise with your inhale and feel them move down and away with your exhale. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, settle. One more, inhale, rise. And then exhale, settle. Let the weight of your head help you to feel a stretch in that space where your rhomboids are. We carry so many things, emotionally, physically. And this space is often the spot where we can feel that burden. So take a few breaths to breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. And see if with your breath, you can bring a lightness into that space. On your next exhale, unwind your hands and return to seated. And let's drop our left arm down, lift our right arm up and over. Right hip stays heavy. And then exhale as we release the right hand down to the left knee. You can slide your left arm back into a twist here on this side. Belly button and gaze move towards the left. And then inhale the left arm up, cross it over. And this time, more of a cow posture as opposed to the cat, right? So see if you can pull forward and then exhale towards cat. Inhale, come forward, lift the chest, move the shoulder blades down, and exhale, round the spine. Chin to chest, belly button to spine. One more, inhale up. And exhale back and hold. And return to your breath here. See if you can play around with the resistance between your elbows as they push into each other. And from there, feel your shoulders move a little bit apart from each other, creating space. One more breath in here. And then exhale. Let's inhale both arms all the way up. And then exhale, cactus your arms. Feel the shoulder blades move together. And then let's take our fingers down to the mat. Continue to move the shoulder blades together as you lift your heart, lift your chin as far as feels comfortable. As we release and come back to center, take our feet out to butterfly pose here. If you have blocks, you can stack them up on your feet. I like to put one flat and one up. Let's push our hips back. Inhale, reach tall, and then exhale as we come forward 25%. Inhale, back up to neutral. Exhale, come forward 50%. Your hands might change. Inhale, back up. Exhale, come forward 75%. And back up. Then we'll come down whatever 100% looks like. So if you have blocks, or if you can move to be on a table or a couch or a chair or something like that, just to rest your head and feel the support beneath you. See if you can widen your shoulders a bit. And while we are here, we'll try to do we will be invited to do a box breath. So box breath is a 4-part breath where you inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale 4, and then hold for 4 on the exhale. It's a great breath for slowing down and really being present. So let's try a few rounds of box breath here. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale 4, hold, exhale, hold. For the next few rounds of breath, you can continue with box breath if you find that helpful, or return to even inhales and even exhales. Whatever you choose, see if you can allow yourself to just think a bit deeper. Let the hips continue to move back. Let the heart continue to move forward and towards the ground. take either one more round of box breath or two more rounds of even inhale, even exhale. And then slowly unwind. If you have the blocks with you, you can bring them behind you if you'd like. Go ahead and bend your knees, take your feet out in front of you. We'll take some windshield wipers here. You can either stay on the blocks, or if you like, you could come down onto your forearms. Bring a little movement into the hips. And then we'll move ourselves all the way down onto our backs. We'll do one other thing that a block could be helpful for. So if you have it, great. If not, that's no problem. So back onto our backs where we've been already a bit for our slow restorative practice. Let's take our right leg up towards the ceiling. Keep the left knee bent. Then bend the right knee. Bring the right foot to the thigh on the left side. Here in figure 4, begin by giving some pressure to the right knee, moving it towards the bottom of your space. And then you have the option to stay here, or if you'd like a little more depth, you can interlace your hands behind your hamstring or on top of your shin. Wherever you land, want to try to keep our low back as flat as we can on the mat. So as your knees, as your hands pull your left knee in toward your chest, your left knee pushes into your hand. Feel that resistance. It is there that we find stillness. Counter tensions. They're always present in every posture. Grounded, but reaching, pulling in, pushing out. And there in the middle, we can find stillness. Move your shoulders away from your ears. And then from here, you can release your hands. Take your right foot across your body for a figure 4 twist. The right foot comes down, left knee works its way to the ground as well. Right arm can extend out to the side. If a different twist is more comfortable for you, feel free to take that. Find this one very, very nice on the hip. We'll settle in here for about 4 more breaths. Slowly unwind. We'll bring both legs back to center. Set your right foot back on the ground. Feel into both hips. And then inhale the left foot up towards the ceiling. And then bend the knee. Bring the left foot to the right thigh. Left hand to left knee. Push away. Feel that engagement. And then option to stay here or to interlace your hands behind your right hamstring. Same things to keep in mind. As we keep our low back on the mat, we want to push our leg into our hand. And then to bring a deeper stretch into the IT band, we pull the leg in towards our chest. Find that spot in the middle. Take 3 more breaths here. And then let the left foot move over the body, landing down by the right hip. And adjust yourself as needed. Extend the left arm out to the side. Gaze up at the ceiling or over to the left. Three more breaths here. Slowly unwind. Come back to center. Let's take our feet wide. Let your knees knock in towards each other. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And an open mouth exhale. Allow some windshield wipers here, knees dropping to each side. And then for our final pose here, if you'd like to have a block underneath your sacrum, you can have it either in position 1, position 2. We're going to do legs up the wall. You can also move yourself towards a wall to have a little bit of extra support. From here, we'll bend our knees in towards our chest, and then from there, lift your legs up. So we have this 90-ish degree angle happening. Hands can rest down at your side or on your stomach. So we engage the quiet here. You can return to hearing the name beloved whispered in your ear or perhaps shouted if needed. Keeping connection with your breath. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then slowly begin to bring the knees back towards your chest, feet back towards your glutes, feet towards the earth. Have a block underneath you. Remove it and then lower your hips back down. Take any movement that you need before we settle into our final rest. Ease into the chest feels good, or perhaps grabbing your feet for happy baby. And then move into your final resting pose. Taking up space on your mat. Have a few moments of silence here before we move into our meditation. Feel held by the ground beneath you. And then bring your focus back to your breath. Sending it into all the way down to your toes and all the way up into the space between your eyes. As you are ready, work your way on up to seated, or if you're going to stay on your back for meditation, whatever you need to do to prepare for that. So let's return our hands to our heart. Return our minds to the whisper of the words, beloved, beloved, beloved. And then return to the grace that you desire. Inviting God to come into your heart this evening. As I read the passage from chapter 11 of Matthew, the first time, just see which words or phrases stand out to you. If there's any imagery, give you some time to sit with it. And then we'll go into more of a visualization. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. see what you notice a second time. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Imagine that you are sitting somewhere that you feel very comfortable. Perhaps a particular room in your house, somewhere out in nature, somewhere that you've traveled. Picture yourself in that space. And as you take a deep breath and sigh it out, give yourself permission to bring to mind how you are feeling about the world, about your relationships, about all the things. Give yourself a moment to be honest about how you are feeling and what you might be holding or carrying today. And as you begin to pour out your heart into this space, you hear some footsteps behind you. And you know that you are not alone. This is a peaceful feeling. You recognize those footsteps. Here in this place, Jesus is coming to join you. As the footsteps get closer, anticipation grows in your heart, and Jesus comes and sits next to you. He places a hand on your shoulder and says, "Come to me, you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." For the next few moments, share your heart with Jesus. After you have shared your heart and Jesus has listened, he says to you, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble in heart, And here you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What are the things in your life that you can share with Jesus? That you can unburden from yourself, having to carry them alone, and find strength in the help of another. In the blessing, God or Jesus is called the one who has traveled this path before you. The image on the screen is a picture of one of the walls in the chapel in the retreat house in Manresa, which is where St. Ignatius is spent time writing the spiritual exercises. And this is a picture of Jesus and Ignatius carrying the load together. Notice that their eye is one. Can we let Jesus be that close? To not just share our load, but to be able to see the way that he sees as well. As we conclude our Lenten journey together, even though there's several more weeks of Lent, may this image of God walking with us so that we can walk with him and walk with each other be what guides the path. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with me over the past few weeks. I pray that you have a blessed Lent and look forward to rejoicing in Easter with you. Love and peace to my friends. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're
Thanks, Catherine.
welcome.